The Bible actually tells us that there's a war coming that's going to kill 2 billion human beings.
Define marriage.
I believe that marriage is the union between a man and a woman, but I do believe in civil unions.
Hamas has said clearly and publicly that they are not going to continue the truce, and the same day they attacked Israel.
When the confirmation of the covenant occurs, it marks the beginning of the final 7 years to Armageddon.
Today is Friday Open Lines. Give us a call right now, 1-877-ENDTIME.
Look, there are two things I don't discuss: politics and religion.
In my house, we don't talk about politics and we don't talk about religion.
I'll talk to you about anything except politics and religion.
I never talk about politics and religion.
Politics determines how we'll live here on earth. Religion determines how we'll live forever. I'm Irvin Baxter. I think it's time we talk about it. Well, it's our favorite day of the week. Once again, it is Friday. That means it's open line, and we can discuss whatever you want us to discuss. We try to stick to prophetic themes as much as we possibly can. The number to call to be on the air with us, 877-END-TIME. That's 877-363-8463. And so it is time to go to the phones. A real quick recap of the news, though, before we go. And I just want to give you a brief overview because the news is absolutely bulging today. In retaliation for the terrorist attack in Eilat, by the way, Eilat is right down on the Egyptian border, so that makes it really vulnerable down there. But the terrorist attack that killed, I think, 6 people or so, 6 Israelis, the retaliation has been that Israel picked off a key leader of the Palestinians. Matter of fact, 2 key leaders. So this hopefully will not escalate. So these things do come and go, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Also, this week is the 6th anniversary of the disengagement from Gaza, which Ariel Sharon thought would curry favor with the Palestinians. Instead, it handed them over land and made them ever more determined. They interpreted it as a sign of weakness, and therefore they should ratchet the pressure up more and more. It did not work at all. It's having huge ramifications now because as the Palestinians and the Israelis are trying to get a peace deal, one of the things they have to deal with is not 9,000 people living in Gaza. They have to deal with 550,000 people living on the east side of the 1967 borders, 250,000 of those in Jerusalem, another 300,000 in Judea, Samaria. And to think you almost produced a civil war by moving 9,000 Jews. What would you do if you tried to move 550,000 Jews? Most people agree that it cannot happen, and so there must be another innovative way when peace finally does come to settle the status of the settlers or those living east of the 1967 borders. There was an article today on the September showdown, of course, looking forward to what's going to happen in just a few days when the Palestinians on September the 20th appealed to the United Nations for membership in the United Nations with East Jerusalem as its capital and with the entire area of Judea, Samaria, everything east of the 1967 borders. It's going to be, well, the pressure is building already. Today, the United States, through Hillary Clinton, called for Syrian leader Bashar Assad to step down. Also, the International Atomic Energy Agency is optimistic about making the Middle East a nuclear-free zone. That's another very hot topic that Israel is going to find herself right in the crossfire of. Russia is opposing the United States' call for Syria's Assad to step down. A teacher has been suspended because he put some remarks against same-sex marriage on his Facebook page. Not at school, not in his official capacity as a private citizen. He expressed his opinion in harmony with what the Bible would teach. And he's been suspended from school after 22 years of a blemish-free record. Ladies and gentlemen, freedom of speech, do we believe in it anymore? Yes, except for when it comes to homosexuality. How did they maneuver us into this position? I think it's because everybody's been a coward. We need to stand up clearly and say, I believe exactly what the Bible teaches on homosexuality, and the Bible teaches that it is wrong, it is unnatural, it is perverted, and it should not be. Now, that's not all that's wrong. Adultery is also wrong. The Bible teaches against many things, so we make a mistake if we just center on one thing. Nevertheless, the Bible is very adamant, and God did destroy Sodom and Gomorrah for the sin of sodomy, and that's the one reason that God actually talks about it being a sin in a class of its own, that which is against nature. He actually condemns it beyond sins that would be natural sins. He talks about that which is against nature. And then a lot of talk about the responsibility to protect that the world community is now using to justify interfering in the sovereignty of nations. The stories just go on and on and on and on. Several programs in today's news. But today is your day, and so we want to get to it right now. We're going all the way up to New York to begin with. And Rael is calling from New York. Hello, Rael.
Hi, Ambassador. Thank you very much for your work. I have a question. As you believe that the Antichrist is supposed to come from the revived Roman Empire, and how can you explain this? Because in the book of Daniel, I think chapter 11, it stated that the Antichrist is going to control the entire earth with the wealth of Egypt. So do you think that the Antichrist is going to control us with, I don't know, because camels? Because Egypt, I don't see what Egypt has in order to seduce and control the entire planet with that wealth. So that is my question.
Well, if I heard you right, I was not understanding every single thing, Rael, so please forgive me for that. But if I heard you right, you were quoting the fact that I believe that the Antichrist will come from the Holy Roman Empire reborn, which I believe is Europe. Most likely place would be Germany, France. Those have normally supplied the rulers of the Holy Roman Empire. I don't know for sure what country he will come from, but from Europe. And it seemed like you referred to Egypt, but I didn't understand clearly. I don't believe he will come from Egypt. I do believe that he will...
No, because I was saying that it stated in Daniel 11 that the Antichrist is going to control the earth with the wealth of Egypt. So it's the link that I want to say. As it's coming from Europe, as you say, so how is that going to control the entire earth with the wealth from Egypt, the riches?
Okay, again, if I'm understanding clearly, Rael, the Antichrist will control the entire world probably through the United Nations, just like right now. President Obama, through Hillary Clinton, issued a call for Bashar Assad to step down as the leader of Syria. He's issued a call for Muammar Gaddafi to step down as the leader of Libya. He issued a call for Mubarak to step down as the leader of Egypt. So he's exercising world leadership through world influence, but he's not always getting his way. And even though he's having a huge influence on things, as the world government gains momentum and gains influence, I suspect that these things will become stronger and stronger. And one way they're doing it, actually two ways, they're working through the new policy of the United Nations called responsibility to protect. They now say, the international community, when a leader is killing his subjects, that they have a responsibility to step in and protect those people from their government that's out of control. That's number one thing that they are doing. And the other thing they're doing is using the International Criminal Court to threaten arrest and trial for heads of state. They have already issued the warrant for the arrest of two heads of state, Mr. al-Bashir of Sudan and also Muammar Gaddafi of Libya. So it will be through these international mechanisms that pressure is used, international sanctions sanctions. We just now confiscated all of the wealth of Syria that is available to the United States through our banking systems. We just move in and say, we're freezing it right now because we're passing these sanctions against you. If everyone would freeze all of our assets around the world, that would really be something. So I don't know whether I've hit the mark on the head or not, Rael, to answer your question, but does that get it?
Yeah, because in the scripture, it stated that the wealth of Egypt, it doesn't say the wealth of the United States or the UN or Syria or other country. It stated the wealth of Egypt. So thank you anyway. So I got to keep doing research on it.
Okay. Hey, thank you very much, Rael. And I think I get a little bit more of what you're saying. The Bible does say that the wealth of Egypt shall lie at his steps, and also Libya. But it also says that the children of Edom, Moab, and Ammon shall escape out of his hand. So it's saying there that the country of Jordan, which is Edom, Moab, and Ammon, they will not fall under the power of the Antichrist, but that the Antichrist will in fact have power over the wealth of Egypt and over Libya in particular. So, it looks like that's when it says he will have power over the wealth. Does that mean he can take it at will? Probably does mean that. It definitely means he will have a level of control over Egypt, over Libya, but not over the country of Jordan. Let's go now to Georgia. Hello, Judy. Welcome.
Hello.
What's on your mind, Judy?
I have two comments, and I'd like to have you comment on them, if I could. They're two separate issues. One of them is that about 4 years ago, I had a time to lay before the Lord and had dreams and visions and things, and many of those things I didn't understand, and now little by little the Lord has given me a chance to see what they were. And when I heard you and one other person that I randomly met confirmed that about the when the tribulation would be, and it is so different from the way the church thinks that it is. And in the visions that I had, I cried for days and days because I didn't understand why I saw the church asleep, and that they had been deceived, but I didn't know why they had been deceived. And
Judy, I've got about 45 seconds. Go ahead and hit me with your questions, would you?
Okay. Yes. First of all, I think it's okay. I think it's great that you go ahead and bring out your beliefs on when the rapture is, because I believe that the church has been deceived and is asleep, and therefore is doing nothing for his. Doing very little or nothing for his coming, because they say we're all just going to fly out of here and have no trouble. The second thing is I was doing a word search on the word Barak, and I found out that his name means it was the horse that Muhammad rode in on to conquer where the Dome of the Rock is now. And it occurred to me that prophetically that he is not the Antichrist, but he's the horse that the Antichrist rides in on.
Interesting observation, Judy. Thank you very much. I'll have some follow-up comments after we get past our break. You're listening to Politics and Religion. It is Open Line. Call us.
Do you ever hear the news and know that something's just not right? Do you ever read about politics and think, what is going on? Maybe you wonder what all this means for you and me. Well, we finally have some answers. Irvin Baxter has a 12-lesson series called Understanding the End Time that has aired throughout the world on TBN and Daystar. This series contains lessons like United States discovered in the Bible, Islam and Bible prophecy, and the 7 trumpets. The Bible says in Daniel 11:33, "They that understand among the people shall instruct many." Would you like to be one who understands end-time events so you can instruct your friends and loved ones? If your answer is yes, then don't miss out on Understanding the End Time with Irvin Baxter. call 1-800-ENDTIME. That's 1-800-363-8463 and request your copy of Understanding the End Time.
For years, I've been interested in Bible prophecy, but never could find the truth, until the day that I stumbled upon a radio show called Politics and Religion. Two of my questions that no one could ever answer were, who will be the Antichrist, and will Islam ever control the world? The day I listened to Politics and Religion, Irvin just happened to be talking on this subject and recommended the DVD, Will Islam Rule the World? This lesson based everything on Scripture, and it gave me answers that I'd been seeking for a long time. Get your copy of Will Islam Rule the World. Call 1-800-ENDTIME.
Tired of the same old boring TV? Tired of the not-so-reality TV? We have the answer. Tune in to the exciting show that keeps you up to date with current events. Hope, meaning, answers. That is the message that Irvin Baxter's End of the Age series represents. You can tune in every Sunday on Daystar at 10:30 p.m., Mondays on the Church Channel at 9 p.m., or tune in to TBN on Wednesday mornings at 7 a.m., all Central Standard Time. Get informed today.
Let us bring you up to date on our translation project. We had a wonderful last 2 days or so. We jumped from 57,000 to 63,000, and I haven't got today's report yet, but it's supposed to be coming to me even during this program, so I'll let you know what's happened overnight. Nevertheless, just to let everybody know, we are translating the Understanding End Time series, all 14 hours on DVD, prophecies that the whole world needs to know now, into the major languages of the world. When this project is done, 90% of the world will be able to view these lessons. And I absolutely believe that this is a God project. I believe God has assigned it to us. And so we certainly want to thank all of you that are making it possible. We do have a match grant on the table. A man has donated $10,000 on the condition that we match it. So if you decide to donate, he wants you to match for Italian, and we have just maybe $1,500 toward the match so far. We've had quite a number of contributions, but not specifically designated to Italian. So if we get another $8,500, not only will we get the $8,500, but we'll get the $10,000 match grant. So that'd be a really good place. If you don't care which language your donation goes to, then when you go on our website to designate it, or when you call us here to make your donation, apply it toward Italian. I would love to go ahead and qualify for that match grant. So the number to call if you want to call to donate is 1-800-END-TIME, and I'm so excited. Think about it. Think about it. The whole world having access to the teachings that you're hearing here on Politics and Religion day after day after day. They'll actually be able to go on the internet and download these teachings from all over the world. I was looking at a list of foreign countries that have contacted End Time. I don't know whether I can pull those up for you, but I was just absolutely, I'll try to do it before the program is over. I was stunned when my secretary brought to me, I'd asked her for a list of the nations that had actually contacted us since we went on television, and I was surprised myself, so it's very, very interesting. So if you want to donate, either 1-800-END-TIME and talk to our operators, or go to endtime.com and push on the red button in the upper right-hand corner. It'll take you to the translation project, and you can select there how much you want to give and which language you want it to go to, and then just follow the instructions, and it'll teach you how to complete that. So please consider doing that. We got to get this done. I wish we could get it done within the next month. It would be great if we can do that. So do your very best, and I appreciate it so very much. Before the break, there was some talk about the pre-post-trib conflict. And, of course, we all have to stay ready at all times, so let's make sure that we don't put too much emphasis on that particular issue. I do believe it's an important issue, but I do not believe it's a salvation issue. Therefore, make sure we all stay ready at all times. If we spend all of our time arguing over pre-post-trib and we're not out winning souls, then we're making a big mistake. And so whatever else we do, we certainly don't want to do that. Let's get on back to the phones now. And we're going now to Indiana. We're going to Michael. Hello, Michael. What's on your mind today?
Hey, Irvin. I just really appreciate your video on the Bible prophecy and the Berlin Wall, revealing the fall of the Berlin Wall. And I had a book, NATO's Secret Armies, Operation Gladio and Terrorism in Western Europe by Daniel Ganser. And I just had a comment here. It says in this book that in the midst of Gladio revelations in 1990, the TV channel RTL shocked the German public by revealing that NATO's Operation Gladio had former members of Hitler's dreaded SS that were recruited into Gladio. And I just wondered what your comments were on that. And I also wanted to make the comment that I feel like 9/11 is more of a Gladio type of plan by Brussels and the Pentagon, by NATO headquarters in Brussels, because NATO AWACS planes flew over here in October of 2001 under Operation Eagle Assist, and Article 5 was enforced. And I feel that was our Operation Gladio, just as NATO terrorism was taking place in Serbia in 1999.
Well, you know, Michael, first of all, it would not be strange to find ex-Nazis finding their place in all different arms of government. I've read a lot about that, and it's undoubtedly true, because when you've been in the military all your life and you now have to make a living, the natural pursuit is to find another branch of military. So for part of the ex-Nazis to make their way into NATO would not surprise me at all. Plus, there's evidence that many of them even came to the United States of America. I know that many of them went to South America, to Argentina. All of them, of course, once Hitler was gone, looking to build a new life and also to cover their tracks. So a lot of that went on. And, you know, when we talk about 9/11, I know there are all kinds of controversial things out there about that. Many people believing our government did 9/11. Now, apparently, there's a teaching that it came out of Europe. Frankly, there has so much been said about it. I've watched video after video after video, trying to separate truth from dogmatism, trying to find out what is really right, what is really wrong. Here's the only thing I can say. I can't tell you I know the truth about that today, but here's what I can say. If we are so far gone that our government actually knew about 9/11 and either allowed it to happen or participated in it happening, then we are much closer to the one world government of the Antichrist than I have thought. Now, let's face it, the Antichrist is coming. The one world government of the Antichrist is coming. And when it does come, it's going to be a time of horrible tribulation for the Christians of this world. So to say that some of these things are totally unthinkable would just simply be to disregard what the Bible has to say about it. So I'm not willing to say, no, that's impossible, because I know the Antichrist is coming, and he will be ruthless, and he will do anything he wants to do to set up his new world order. But I simply do not know, after watching hour after hour after hour after hour, after trying to use the best logic that I have not been able to fully ascertain what the truth is. Everything within me says, surely not, surely not, surely not. So I simply don't know, and I'm not going to say I do know when I don't know for sure, because that would be highly irresponsible. Okay, thank you a lot, Michael, for the phone call, and let's move on now to Georgia. Let's go to Josh in Georgia.
Hi, sir.
Hi, Josh. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Very good.
The other day, you ended your show with the statement about, the truth is the biggest thing to seek. And I think, in the sake of the truth, I have to lovingly say that two of the things that I hear you say very often I don't think are biblical. If you let me explain, I say this with most respect and honor. The test that you apply to Revelation 20 and the first resurrection that I heard you apply, and let some people, apply their belief of the resurrection to Revelation 20.
Yes.
I don't think that anybody's view of the resurrection actually fits into that, because if you look at 1 Thessalonians, it's obvious that the Lord descends or comes down from heaven, and that's when we meet him. 1 Corinthians 15, I can't remember the verse, around 20 or something, says that, we will be resurrected at his coming. And Revelation 20 makes it very clear that that resurrection occurs after the millennium. So for 1,000 years, Christ has been on the earth in Jerusalem. during the millennium, and it's very clear from the language in Revelation 20 that that resurrection happens after those things.
Okay, now, Josh, that's a big statement you just made, because I don't think it's clear at all. Hold on a minute. I'm getting ready to read it so we both can listen to it, okay?
Yes, sir.
Revelation chapter 20, verse 4 through 6. Here's what it says. I have it in, well, hold on a minute. I've got to get it in front of me. I thought I had it. Revelation 20, starting with verse number 4. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. But the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. Blessed and holy is he that hath part in the first resurrection. On such the second death hath no power, but they shall be priests of God of Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. So, unless I'm really misreading this, this says that the people who did not take the mark when they were resurrected, that was the first resurrection, and they reigned as priests and kings with Christ for 1,000 years. And then after the 1,000 years is finished, you have the second death. Now, apparently you and I are really reading this different.
So where is Christ before this resurrection then?
The man Christ Jesus is everywhere he wants to be, of course.
Right, obviously.
But he, since he is immortal, but he does descend from heaven, the Bible tells us, at the time when he comes down at Armageddon. When he descends from heaven, the Bible teaches that the dead in Christ will rise first, then we which are alive and remain on the earth will be caught up together to meet the Lord in the air.
Right.
And then after that, we go with Jesus Christ to the Mount of Olives. We come down onto the Mount of Olives to fight the battle of Armageddon, destroy the Antichrist and the false prophet, and crown Jesus King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Josh, that's my understanding of the sequence of events.
So the after in Revelation 20 is a separate entity than the resurrection. In Revelation
20, that's the first resurrection, and that's the same resurrection that happens in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, because it says it is the first resurrection in chapter 20. It happens at the end of the tribulation when Jesus Christ comes to fight Armageddon. At Armageddon, we're caught up to meet the Lord in the air, have the marriage supper in the sky, and then go with him to the battle of Armageddon. And so that's my understanding. Then after that is the 1,000 years, and at the end of the 1,000 years, Satan is loose for a little season, and then when Satan deceives the nations, they come down to make war against Jesus and the saints, and that's when they will be destroyed by fire. That's when the great white throne of judgment occurs, and then it says this is the second death. It says death and hell give up their dead. They stand before God for the great white throne of judgment to be judged according to their works. And death and hell was cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And then it says, blessed and holy that is he that hath part in the first resurrection. On such the second death hath no power. So if you are part of the first resurrection, you don't have to worry about coming back at the great white throne of judgment for judgment. I'll tell you what, Josh, I've run us up against a break here, but I don't want to cut you off. If you'd like to hold through the break, I welcome you to do that, because I'm glad to have dialogue with you about this important question. So hold right there if you would.
Because of our faithful partners, we're impacting millions of lives across the globe on a daily basis through our magazine, radio program, Politics and Religion, our TV show, End of the Age, and more. Every day we get emails and calls from people sharing the story of how Endtime Ministries has benefited their life and surrounding area. Misty from Tennessee says,
my favorite thing about Endtime Ministries is that you base everything you teach on Scripture. You have a genuine love for God and fulfilling the calling He has placed on your life.
Elizabeth says,
Endtime Ministries has helped me understand the times we are in, and now I lead a Bible study to help others understand.
Pastor D.G. Hargrove from Dallas says,
I feel that Irvin Baxter is an oracle of truth. God's hand is surely upon him. I am grateful for his faithfulness to God's purpose.
Go to endtime.com or call 1-800-ENDTIME and ask how you can become a part of Endtime Ministries as we fulfill the Great Commission and change the world together.
Maybe you've listened to Politics and Religion for years, and every time you hear us talk about Endtime's free weekly e-newsletter, you say to yourself, today is the day I go to endtime.com and sign up. But the teacher from school calls, Junior's sick, your husband texts you a picture of the mailbox that Susie ran over while learning to back out of the driveway, and as you try to get out of the door, your boss is waiting for that detailed report that was actually due yesterday. All of a sudden, convenience is not on your side, and now the e-newsletter is the last thing on your mind. We now offer an easy-to-use feature that is perfect for those of you that have little time to spare. Just text the word ENDTIME to the number 22828. It's that easy. Text ENDTIME to the number 22828. That's ENDTIME to the number 22828.
I just received the email, and good news, we're now at $65,718. So how much we have to go? That means we've got $45,000 to go. Is that right? 35 will take us. No, we got $55,000 to go to make it to 120. But we've got a $10,000 match grant on the table. So if we can get about $8,000 toward the Italian language, we will jump $18,000 with that $8,000. So that would put us where? That would mean we'd be 78, 83. That means we'd be making really good progress. So if you want to make this happen quickly, maybe 8 of you can give 1,000, 80 of you can give 100, or whatever you can do. It doesn't matter. You know what you can do. If it's 25, 50, all of it's important. And whatever you can do consider doing it. I appreciate you so much. And by the way, if you'd like to be a monthly partner with Endtime Ministries and receive our monthly e-newsletter where I sort of share the inside of Endtime with everybody that is a monthly partner, you can sign up for that as well. Call our operators and just say, I want to be a monthly partner, and that means you're going to support us financially and with your prayers. We need it. We're the greatest time of prophetic fulfillment in the history of the world is now and just ahead. I mean, we're right now in huge, important territory. I mean, within the next 1 month, within, what is it today? Is today the 18th or the 19th? I'll tell you in just a moment. Today's the 19th, so 1 month and 1 day from tomorrow is going to be when the Palestinians present their application for membership in the United Nations, and they're going to be asking the United Nations to give them half of the city of Jerusalem. Now think about this. Half of the city where God said, I will put my name there, and he ordained it to be the capital of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And God said in Zechariah chapter 12 that Jerusalem will become a burdensome stone, and all that burden themselves with it will be cut to pieces. Well, the United Nations is going to dabble tomorrow. I don't know what they're going to, a month from tomorrow. On September the 20th, they're going to dabble in a month with the status of Jerusalem, whether they make a ruling or whether they do not. It's going to be very interesting because I promise you God will be attending the United Nations proceedings that day. He'll be watching carefully what's going to happen because they're dealing with God things, holy things. So we're living in very interesting territory right now. I want to get back to Josh because we were discussing the first resurrection, whether it happens before the 1,000-year millennial reign or whether it happens at the end of the 1,000-year millennial reign. And so I had read verses 4 through 6, and I asked Josh to stay on because I didn't want to cut him off. So where are we, Josh? Are we together on that passage, or how are we doing?
Well, I mean, I'm looking at Revelation 20, verse 5, and it says, the rest of the dead did not come to life until the 1,000 years were completed, period. This is the first resurrection.
Yeah, so the question is,
American Standard.
The question is, when it says this is the first resurrection, is it referring to the resurrection of those that were killed for the mark of the beast, and because they wouldn't take the mark of the beast? Or
well, I mean, regardless of what it's referring to, it says in the sentence before it, the rest of the dead did not come to life until the 1,000 years were completed. This is the first resurrection.
Yeah, but the question is, you know as well as I do that in any narrative, you've got to read the whole thing to see what the person was trying to say.
Right, of course.
And my honest opinion is that it's talking about the people that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus. They had not worshipped the beast, neither his image. And it says, and they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. And then I believe it's saying this is the first resurrection. There is a phrase interjected in verse 5, but the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. I believe that's an explaining sentence, but I believe if you read verse 4 and verse 6, that that's referring to the first resurrection. And I think that becomes obvious when you go on down in chapter number 20, because it goes on down to talk about what happens after the 1,000 years. And when it gets down there, it talks about that being they're resurrected then, and that's the second resurrection. So I think it's pretty obvious if you read the whole thing. You might want to take it and read it again. I'm trying to understand what you're saying, but I think when it talks about the resurrection after the 1,000 years, it's actually saying that's the second resurrection and also the second death when they're cast into the lake of fire. So it's my opinion that the first resurrection refers to those that were resurrected at the end of the Great Tribulation. The second resurrection and the second death occurs at the end of the 1,000 years. That's the way I read these passages.
Okay. Well, if I still have time, the other thing real quick that I hear you say very often would be in Daniel 8 about the Antichrist wearing out the saints of the Most High. Was it 8:24 maybe?
I'm probably 8:25. I'm not exactly sure.
Right. I know that in some of the translations it says wearing out the saints. Daniel 8:24, by his power he will be mighty, but not by his own power, and he will destroy to an extraordinary degree and prosper and perform his will, and he will destroy the mighty men and the holy people.
Yes.
Right. And that is the one that you often refer to as the saints, right? Where that's
I think probably we're in 7:25. Because it says in 7. I'm going there even right now. And I'm sorry to take so much time, but here we go. I got it. It's 7:25, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High.
Okay.
That's Daniel 7:25.
Okay, I'm looking in 8 then, where it says that the Antichrist, will wear out the holy people.
Yeah.
And,
one place it says holy people, another place it says saints.
Well, and I've heard you often say about how that has to be Christians because there's no. I've heard you a different reason. I can't use your exact words, but that word for holy people is just kadosh in the Hebrew, just holy people. And he calls Israel his holy people, his kadosh, hundreds of times.
Yeah, so, like we said, one place it says saints, another place it says holy people. If you go to Matthew chapter 24, verse 29 through 31, it says he gathers his elect. So there are many different references to the thing that occurs at the exact same time. Daniel 7:25 occurs at the end of the tribulation. Daniel 8 occurs at the end of the tribulation, and in Matthew 24, 29 through 31 occurs immediately after the tribulation of those days. So one place it says saints, one place it says elect, one place it says holy people.
But it doesn't have to be Christians. It can, in fact, be his elect of Israel.
Except in Matthew 24, verse 29 through 31, because if you look up elect in the New Testament, it does not refer to Jewish people exclusively one time that I know of. There are 13 passages.
I know at the end of Isaiah, most translations use the word elect for the conversation between Jesus and the redeemed Israel. Most translations use the word elect at least 5 times in the last 5 chapters.
Yeah, and elect is used for the Jewish. Anytime a person is saved and considered the people of God, they are called the elect, whether they're Jewish or whether they're a part of the church. We even know the Bible teaches that when you're born again, you are considered Jewish. The Apostle Paul said the true children of Abraham are not those who are his children according to physical seed, but they are his children according to promise. If we have the faith of Abraham, then we are truly the children of Abraham. So I think the word elect is used for both Jew and Gentile. Hey, listen, Josh, got to let you go. We've held you on for a long, long time. Sorry to take so long, but it was an interesting discussion. We don't want to cut anybody off, and since we drove it up against a break. Okay, now we gotta move fast here because I've been spending way too much time. So try to make your questions as succinct as you can, and I will try to answer as easy as I can or as quick as I can. Let's go quickly to Patrick in New York. Hello, Patrick. Welcome to Politics and Religion.
Hey, good afternoon, Irvin. It's a real pleasure to speak to you.
Thank you.
I've been listening to your show since 2006. I initially heard you on George Norrie, Coast to Coast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I remember listening to you, and I'm like, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Well, we're due to go back on George before too long. We haven't been on there for a while, so it's about time.
Yeah, it's a good way to reach more listeners, and I just want to thank you so much for correlating modern events with the Bible, because it's just amazing how the pieces are starting to come together.
Amen. It sure is.
And just as a quick side note, too, those last 2 shows regarding Russia and Germany were very interesting. Even today on the financial news, they mentioned how Germany, since they're a big producer and exporter of goods, how they could have so much more influence on the other European countries with the euro and so forth. So it'll be interesting to see if those other countries go along with Berlin, if they dictate a certain policy. But that was interesting also, too, about Russia. But I have a 2-part question for you. I know you got other callers, but quickly, Ahmadinejad, when he first came to New York in, I think, 2006 or 2007, he spoke at Columbia University, then at the UN.
Yes.
And, okay, there was a picture, Irvin, of Ahmadinejad giving, these 2 Hasidic Jews giving Ahmadinejad like a silver plaque for his service to Israel, and I kind of scratched my head because here's a guy that wants to wipe Israel off the face of the map, and yet these Orthodox Jews are giving him a plaque for his service to Israel. And is my understanding, and you correct me if I'm wrong, is it because the more Orthodox Jews believe that Israel should not be a nation at this point in history?
Yeah, there is a sect of Orthodox Jews who deny that Israel should exist now because it was established by the United Nations and not by the Messiah. And so they hold that the present entity is illegal.
Interesting. And the second part, just quickly, do the Orthodox, I know you go to Israel all the time, once a year, and I would love to go on those trips someday. But anyway, do the Orthodox Jews there, do they have a pull in the Knesset, or is it pretty much the secular Jews determine the political policies in Israel? I'll hang up, and thank you so much. God bless you.
Okay. Hey, thanks, Patrick, for the call. Actually, the Orthodox Jews do have a very powerful pull. Probably 10 to 15% of Israel is Orthodox, but they have a much larger level of influence than their 10 or 15% would warrant. There are just some issues such as marriage and other issues that are considered critical to Israel's identity as a biblical people that the government will defer to the religious Jews on. So in many things, they do have extreme amount of influence, and it depends on who's ruling at the time. Right now, they have more influence than they would have if, say, the Labor Party were in power. Because they are the more liberal, but the Likud is the more conservative, together with other liberal conservative power. So they have a lot of power right now.
Technology. I know what you're thinking. It isn't for me. Some I've heard say it's only for geeks. Well, not anymore. Digital downloading has become quite simple, so that for all of us not so up to date with technology, can do it with a breeze. Whether you're snowboarding in Alaska or climbing Mount Everest, or just simply sitting with some friends who think they know all the answers to Bible prophecy, you can now download tons of product from all your technical gadgets. Don't even ask me to name them. Go to endtime.com day or night, and in a matter of minutes, guess who looks like a genius? Your friends will be speechless. Go to www.endtime.com. That's ENDTIME.com. Click on shop and you're in business. Don't delay, download today, and become a part of the End Time Geek Club.
Death, destruction, poverty, war, disease. These are only some of the things that are ahead in the end time. Want to know more? Join us in reaching out and informing the world that over 2 billion people will die. We as a nation can't hide from this. We have to tell everyone we know about the prophesied war that will start from the river Euphrates. Call now to get your copy of World War III and spread the message that the end time is now. Call 1-800-END-TIME.
Can't get enough of politics and religion? Well, neither can we. We have some great news for all of you Bible prophecy gurus. Think no, not pre-trib, different subject, pre-show. Irvin Baxter will be teaching the End of the Age series. Here's what you do. Just log on to endtime.com/radio Monday through Friday at 2:30 p.m. Central Time and click on the live webcast button. Cha-ching! More Bible prophecy? How confusing having a favorite show. We feel your pain. Call 1-800-END-TIME for more information.
Our promo was talking about our digital downloads. I hope you're catching that any of the things that you would like to have from us, you are able to download those digitally now. And we've talked a lot about Germany becoming such a force in this special article that we spent an entire program on. You really have to have been through the lesson called Holy Roman Empire Reborn to fully appreciate that. It's one of the DVDs in our now 13-lesson series that's available to you, but you can get it individually or you can get all 13 of them if you choose to get the entire Understand the End Time series. But anyway, if you've not been through Holy Roman Empire Reborn, you can't appreciate the program we had about Germany, because you just have to see the big picture to really appreciate everybody on earth. Everybody on earth should view the Holy Roman Empire Reborn DVD. Everybody needs to understand that right now. Okay, we're going to move quickly. We got a full bank of callers, so we got to move. Let's go now to Virginia, listening on the internet. Hello, Robert. Are you there, Robert?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I sure can.
How you doing?
I'm very good, Robert. What's on your mind?
I was just calling. I got to watching the Glenn Beck's Rumors of War 2. I don't know if you've seen it.
No, I haven't seen it.
And I just thought it was pretty interesting in how he was talking about, Islam and how, how they believe in there, with the Mahdi or the Imam or somebody like that, and how basically when the Antichrist shows his face around here, that they're going to actually worship him as a real or revere him as their Messiah. I know he won't. I know the Antichrist won't be a Muslim, but I think they're going to revere him as the Messiah. And then during the Battle of Armageddon, how the Bible talks about how when Jesus Christ comes, and then all the people that's in Armageddon going to turn around and try to make war with Jesus, because in their mind that's the Antichrist. And I just thought it was just real interesting that how that whole religion, it's kind of like it's like the polar opposite of what God really wanted for everything to be. I just wanted to know what you thought about all that and talk about it.
What you're speaking of course, is Muslims believe that the 12th Imam is coming, which is also what they call the Mahdi. The term Mahdi to them would probably be Messiah to us. And especially the Shiite Muslims believe that the 12th Imam actually came 1,000 years ago, but for some reason he has been hiding in a well perhaps or somewhere, waiting the time of his revelation. And they believe that 2 years before he comes, there's going to be a war. and this war is going to be fought. That's the reason that Ahmadinejad believes Iran should strengthen itself and make the world ready for the rulership of the Mahdi. So it becomes very involved when you see it all. Now, what I think is going to happen is that they're going to believe it's that war when World War III happens, the Sixth Trumpet War of Revelation chapter number 9. They're going to believe that's it and that they're getting ready to establish the reign of the Mahdi, but they will be horribly defeated instead, and everything's going to go backward for them at that particular time. And, of course, that's what's going to usher in the final 7 years shortly thereafter and really pave the way for the Antichrist to come to power. So, anyway, I understand what you're saying, and that is what Ahmadinejad embraces. And about 15% of Islam believes that particular theory. Those are called the Twelvers. It's a sect of Islam. They actually call them the Twelvers. I hope that helps out a little bit there, Robert. And let's go quickly to Florida. And Robin is waiting in Florida. Hello, Robin. What's on your mind?
Hi, Brother Irvin. Listen, I just want to say we're praying for you down here. And,
Thank you.
And we missed you in Apopka when you was here last, but we're hope to catch you next time.
Okay, very good.
You know, you're going to Israel at a very exciting time.
Yes, I'm anxious for it.
Oh, that's great. I think the Lord's going to reveal things to you that you don't even know.
I wouldn't be surprised. He usually does.
He does. That's right. Listen, I have a question about the Ark of the Covenant.
Okay.
You know how men, have always had a life quest to find the Ark?
Right.
And some Jews think that it's even buried under the Temple Mount.
Right.
Okay, if we turn to Revelation 11:19, doesn't that tell us where the Ark is?
Were you talking about the Ark of the Testimony in heaven?
Well, yes. Is that the same thing as the Ark of the Covenant?
It appears that there's always been a corollary in heaven to what is in earth.
Okay.
Now, I don't know. I'm not sure that that's referring to the Ark of the Covenant, but it appears that it's almost like that the Old Testament pattern of the tabernacle was a shadow of New Testament realities. The truth of the matter is, the Old Testament tabernacle was a shadow of salvation because the brazen altar was the first thing you saw. Then there was the laver where you washed, and then you went inside of a veil, and the furniture in there was like the cross piece of the cross. You saw the tabernacle, you saw the altar of incense, you saw the table of shewbread, and then you go into the Holy of Holies, and there's
where
one
it was
more piece.
completely dark, right?
Yes, and so
no light shined in.
The furniture was in the shape of a cross, and it's though the spiritual reality of the cross was in heaven and the light was behind it, casting a shadow on the earth. The Bible teaches that the Old Testament salvation was types and shadows of New Testament realities.
Right.
And so Jesus came and he fulfilled all of the different pieces of furniture in the tabernacle. So we have the spiritual reality of what they had, the Old Testament shadow, so to speak. Now, I'm not sure that directly pertains to your question here, but it does appear that there is an ark in heaven. Whether that means that's where the Ark of the Covenant is, I'm not sure about that.
Okay, because I seem to remember that, in the Old Testament, it's the Ark of the Covenant is also referred to as the Ark of the Testament as well.
Yeah, it is because
it's interchangeable.
Because the Ten Commandments were inside of it. So it was the Ark of the Testimony.
Okay. So, but you're not saying that you're convinced that that's the true missing ark.
Yeah, I need to go take another look at that and really focus on that. I'm not sure whether I believe that or not.
Okay. Well, I was just curious.
I do know this, though. I know the ark, the physical ark, will not be on the earth during the millennium.
It's not needed.
Well, Jeremiah 3:16,
right.
Jeremiah 3:16 specifically says that they will not have the ark, neither will it even come to mind. They won't mention it anymore. And so the Bible specifically says during the millennium that there will not be an Ark of the Covenant.
Isn't our Lord wonderful? He is awesome. He is awesome.
Sure is.
I tell you, Lord Jesus, come.
Amen.
I can't wait. Well, thank you, Brother Irvin, for your work, and we're to remember those who labor for us.
Thank you very much, Robin. Appreciate it so very much. Let's quickly go to Virginia, and hello, Christine.
Hi, Mr. Baxter.
Yes.
Yes, got a question on the post-tribulation. I heard your caller
talk
about Revelation 20 earlier.
Right.
I think I kind of agree with him. But one thing about the post-trib is that that teaching you would deny the New Testament of imminency, which means you should expect Jesus to come at any time. If you say post-trib, that means he won't come until after the Great Tribulation.
You know, Christine, the Apostle Paul actually taught against the doctrine of imminency. He taught there were people teaching the doctrine of imminency in the Thessalonian church, and the Apostle Paul wrote to straighten that out. He said, I beseech you, brethren, by the coming of the Lord and our gathering together unto him, that you be not soon shaken by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as that the day of Christ is at hand. That day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and the man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. So they were teaching imminency, and the Apostle Paul said, no, that's not right. They were teaching he's going to come any moment, and Paul knew it was going to be a long time before he came. He said that day will not come until there come a falling away first, and the man of sin, speaking of the Antichrist, be revealed.
So how do you explain that Jesus said that we should be expecting him coming at any time?
I explain that because you or I may get hit by a Mack truck today, or I may have a heart attack before the close of this program. And
I agree, but, I've talked to people, and they're like very pessimistic. They said, well, they're going to wait until, after the covenant. That teaching, I don't think it's helping us to be witnesses, to bring Christ.
Well, Christine, the key point is, what does the Bible teach? Does it teach pre-trib or does it teach post-trib? And really, that's not a super important point, because if you or I die today, we're pre-trib. Done. Settled issue. So we all have to be ready at all times, because we know the obituary is full every day. The cemeteries are full. The mortuaries are not going out of business. And so we have to be all ready at all times. And yet the Apostle Paul, he knew he was not going to see the rapture. He said, the Spirit speaketh expressly that after my departure, grievous wolves will come in, not sparing the flock, teaching for doctrines the traditions of men rather than the commandments of God. So he knew that he was going to die, and Peter also knew he was going to die and how he was going to die. So they all knew the Lord was not returning to the earth during their lifetime, and they said that in their writings. But at the same time, he could come any moment for any one of us. Well, I'd love to continue the discussion, Christine. You're so nice, but I'm way over time, so I've got to let you go. Good question. If we didn't get finished, call back next week and we'll talk some more. Thank you very much, all of you that participated in the program today. Sorry we didn't get all of you on, but always such interesting discussion. If you have not yet contributed to our translation project to reach the whole world with the prophecies of the Bible, please pray about that. Consider doing it. And if you'd like to, call us 1-800-END-TIME or go to endtime.com.
Politics and Religion is a production of Endtime Ministries. We are a daily 1-hour broadcast dedicated to bringing you the prophetic fulfillments happening every single day. If you would like to listen to archive programs, subscribe to Endtime Magazine, find a prophecy conference, order Endtime products, or subscribe to our free weekly e-newsletter called 1-800-END-TIME. Or go to endtime.com and take advantage of everything that the website has to offer. To be a part of Endtime Ministries, partner with us and help this message go to the entire world. Endtime Ministries is a partner-supported ministry. We'd like to take a moment to thank all of our loyal partners and listeners for helping make Politics and Religion and Endtime Ministries possible.
If you would like to have a copy of today's program, you can obtain it by simply calling us at 1-800-END-TIME Or you can go to our website, www.endtime.com. You can either order the physical product from there and it'll be shipped to you, or there's also a place there for you to digitally download it and you can have it within minutes and be enjoying it in the privacy of your own home. In addition to this offer, let me remind you, this is one lesson in our Understanding the End Time series. The first one is the United States in the Bible. The second one is the New World Order is world government. The third one, Islam and Bible prophecy. The fourth one, World War III. The fifth one, Israel's God-given destiny. Number 6, Israel, God's prophetic time clock. Number 7, Holy Roman Empire reborn. 8, Antichrist and the false prophet. 9, 666, Mark of the Beast. And number 10, the coming one world religion. I think a lot of you are going to want to have all 10 of these marvelous prophecy lessons. If you go through just these 10 DVDs, each of them 1 hour, you are going to know more about Bible prophecy than the average student graduating with a degree from a theological seminary. We need to know where we are right now. Jesus Christ said, I tell you these things before they come to pass, so that when they do come to pass, you might believe. So the number to call one more time, 1-800-END-TIME, that's 1-800-363-8463, or go to endtime.com.
You can now have all 10 brand new Understanding the End Time DVDs, filmed in End Time's new cutting-edge studio with green screen technology and beautiful full-screen graphics. All 10 hours are just $155. Go to endtime.com or call 1-800-END-TIME right now.